Beautiful. All right, we are live. So, the title of today's discussion is The Addiction to Self Correction You're Trying Too Hard to Manifest. So, we're going to talk about a few things today. I think this will be a fun conversation. It's not going to be as, I don't know. We might make it as direct as usual, but we'll see. Okay, good to go on Instagram. Let's talk about self correction, right? Because this can be a trap. We're going to talk about your perfection as source, right? There's a version of you that wakes up every morning already on trial. Before your feet hit the floor, you're auditioning your worth. How many times do you wake up and do you wake up and the first thing that's on your mind is just how divine and beautiful and grateful you are, how today's going to be a divine and splendid day? Or is your first thought to check the phone, to see if your specific person has texted you, right? To see what is going wrong, right? What is your first thought? Your first assumption about yourself, your first decision of the day. Okay? So before your feet hit the floor, you're auditioning your worth. Am I behind? Am I enough? Am I healed enough? Manifesting enough? Loving enough? Pure enough? Divine enough? Worthy enough? In alignment enough? We call this growth. We call it discipline. We call it spiritual maturity. But oftentimes, it's just obsession with yourself. It's just obsession with yourself. The ego is clever, right? It will use guilt to feel important. It will use shame to feel active. It will use constant self-analysis to avoid surrender. That can also be another loop that we get into. Is that we're constantly trying to analyze ourselves and saying, what am I doing wrong? Right? What do I need to fix about myself in this moment? Because that feels like growth, right? So it will use constant self-analysis to avoid surrender. You don't escape self-centeredness by criticizing yourself more deeply. You just give the self more attention. Right? So this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about your inherent worthiness. How you are already worthy. You're already divine. You're already beautiful. You're already everything that you desire to be right now. But you have this personality that's still trying to fix itself into that acceptance. All right? So this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how to transcend the ego. The other day we talked about how the ego can be a trap, constantly trying to perfect it. Today we're going to talk about your beauty at the level of being. Just you being whole and divine and complete and perfect and worthy as you are. That is what we're going to talk about. All right? So the first verse that we have is Matthew 23:25, and it says, "Woe to you, for you clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence." Self-indulgence. Self-indulgence. What does this mean? Remember, because even Jesus said what? He said, "I and the Father are one, but the Father is greater than I. I can do nothing of myself, but it's the Father that does the work." What was he actually talking about? He wasn't talking about a distant deity. He was talking about awareness. He was talking about I am the Lord, the law that transcends personality. The law that is already perfect and whole and complete within all of us. So that's what this verse is talking about. It's saying, woe to you, slow your ass down, for you clean the outside of the cup and dish. You clean what it looks like. You clean the personality. You clean the ego. But inside, you're still full of greed and self-indulgence. Now, how do we get beyond that self-indulgence? Well, we realize the truth. That you're not trying to fix the self. You're recognizing that the self is already perfect. Are you following? I know you are, right? So, this was initially said to religious leaders. You have to keep in mind, Jesus in scripture, he despised religious leaders. He despised the Pharisees. It's just an acceptance. It's just a recognition. He despised the Pharisees. He went as far as to call them whitewashed tombs. Clean on the outside, empty, dead on the inside. A whitewashed tomb. Think about that. The tomb is empty. It has no inner relationship with its source. No inner recognition of the source that is already within us. But on the outside, they knew the scripture, they knew the word, they knew the law, they could preach to you, they kept the holy days, but they had no direct relationship with their source. Think about that. So this verse is not just a rebuke of religious leadership. It's a mirror held to anyone who confuses image with integrity. The outside of the cup represents your reputation, your performance, aesthetics, the carefully curated persona that wants to be seen as disciplined, spiritual, healed, evolved. The inside represents motive, hunger, fear, craving for validation, envy. Christ is exposing misalignment. We don't care how dirty your house is, right? So this isn't talking about that. We don't care how dirty your house is when the inner world is ruled by greed. This is talking about you as the temple of God. It's not talking about your house. It's not talking about your dishes or your kitchen. It's talking about you as the house, as the temple of the Most High. When the inner world is ruled by greed, not just for money, but for attention, for approval, for control, for validation, then no amount of outer polish can sanctify it. Right? So the tragedy here, pretending transformation has occurred because behavior looks refined while the heart remains restless, while the heart still is not rooted in the knowing that it's everything. Right? So we try to do all the things. We walk around and we speak all the affirmations. We do the visualizations. We do the techniques. You do the sleep tapes. But you have not just recognized that on the level of being, just your being, just you being alive, that right there is the proof of your worthiness. Can you breathe oxygen right now? Yes, then you are absolutely worthy. Is your heart beating right now? Yes, then you are absolutely inherently worthy. You are absolute love. Absolute prosperity. The proof is your existence. The proof is your being. Okay? So the verse is also an invitation. It calls you inward to purify the source. Not through work, but through recognition. Greed and self-indulgence are distortions of a deeper longing. The longing to feel secure, loved, and significant. When the inside is healed, the outside naturally follows. When the heart is anchored in truth, the performance relaxes. You stop scrubbing the surface and begin cleansing the well. And once the well is clean, everything drawn from it, your words, your love, your leadership, your desire becomes clear. The cup does not need to prove its purity when the water itself is living, right? So it's saying that I don't have to walk around and prove and get that external validation when I simply know that I am the source, when I know that my being itself is pure. My being itself is perfect and divine and whole and love. Are you following so far? We're going to get a little bit more into depth. If you're not following so far, just stay with your boy. Just stay with your boy, okay? So how does this pertain to you in the level of personality? You can scrub your personality endlessly and still never touch the root. You can pray and affirm and beg and plead and sleep tape and 369 method and journal. You can become addicted to fixing the container while never realizing the water inside has always been pure. It's a recognition. You can do all of those things, but if you don't recognize the truth that you're already everything that you desire to be, then everything else is just in vain. You're just polishing the image and neglecting the source. When the source, the identity, everything else is downstream from identity, from truth, from recognition that you are already that which you desire to be. Then you already have that which you desire to have. Nothing is wrong with you. But something may be wrong with how much you are staring at yourself. Are you staring at your personality and your thoughts and your emotions all day? Are you staring at the knowing that you are source all day? It's a beautiful distinction. Are you staring at the knowing that it's not I, but the Father, but the source that animates my very being that does the work? Or are you staring at the personality? Are you staring at the circumstances? Are you staring at the thoughts? Are you staring at the emotions? Okay. So let's get into this a little bit deeper. All right. So this part is called the man who would not stop repenting. There was once a man who believed holiness meant constant apology. He repented for thoughts, for impulses, for feelings, for desires he had not even acted on. He repented so much he forgot to live. This is a common issue. Right? He believed that if he just corrected himself hard enough, God would finally approve. Can you relate to that? Okay. But hear this verse, right? Luke 17:21. It says, the kingdom of God is within you. And if the kingdom is within you, then what exactly are you begging to be let into? If the kingdom is within you already, then what are you begging and striving and pleading and working to be let into? When it's already the source of your being, the center of your being. What door are you standing outside of, rehearsing prayers for entry, when the throne room has always been the center of your own awareness? Distance and exile are a fantasy. You believing that there is space between you and the version of you that you desire to be is a fantasy. You believing that you are exiled from your worthiness, from your blessings is a fantasy. You thinking that you're not good enough is a fantasy. You trying to accept that you're not loved is a fantasy. You thinking that you have to work towards being more loved is a fantasy. Everything that implies that right now you are not that which you desire to be is a fantasy. The kingdom is not a future reward. It is not a geographical heaven. It is not a spiritual promotion after enough suffering. It is an interior reality. The kingdom of God, of heaven, is an inner reality that exists within you right now, that is you right now. It just is you right now. Right? It is the divine order, authority, peace, and creative power seated at the core of your being. When you plead for acceptance, when you strive to be chosen, when you act as though you're still waiting for permission to be whole, you're forgetting where the kingdom is located. When you're not accepting the truth that you are already that which you desire to be, you're forgetting where the kingdom is located. But if the kingdom is within you, then responsibility is too. You cannot blame delay on a distant God. You cannot attribute your paralysis to cosmic silence. The same space within you that contains doubt also contains dominion. Let me say that one more time. The same place within you that contains doubt also contains dominion. Which one are you worshiping? Choose this day whom you will serve. The same awareness that entertains fear also holds creative authority. To realize the kingdom is within is to lose the luxury of victimhood. Victimhood is a luxury. To understand who you are is to lose the luxury of victimhood. It means the gates are not locked from the outside. It means you're not a beggar at heaven's entrance. You are a sovereign, divine as God who has forgotten his seat. And you can reseat yourself right now. Very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. You don't enter the kingdom by endlessly correcting the one standing at the door. You enter by realizing the door was never locked. Well, it was never locked. The Father was never pacing in heaven with a clipboard grading your internal performance. Never. Never. The only person grading your internal performance as not good enough is you. Wondering why reality's not giving you what you're not being. Mhm. You're not saved by obsessing over your flaws. You're not saved by analyzing yourself into paralysis. You are not saved by dissecting yourself and judging your self-worth as not good enough. You're freed by outgrowing their centrality. You're freed by when you stop worshiping the personality as if it's the truth. And you simply recognize the truth is the truth. And what is the only truth? The truth is that you are already everything. The truth is that everything exists within you. That you are all love, all prosperity, all wealth, all charm, all charisma, all beauty, all everything. You're already it. This is the truth. That the kingdom is within you. I love it. Absolutely love it. All right. So number 3. I want you to think about this statement from Meister Eckhart. It says, the eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me. Do you understand what that means about your shame? Let me read that again. The eye with which I see God. The eye with which I see God, God is everything, is the same eye with which God sees me. Meaning there's no distant God seeing me, it's me seeing myself. What does that mean about your shame? Think about it. What does that mean about your shame? If the same eye sees both ways, then there is no cosmic distance between you and the divine gaze. There is no separate tribunal. The awareness that knows your thoughts is not disgusted with you. It is you. There is no external judge of you. There is only you judging yourself. So when you begin to judge yourself with righteous judgment, that's God judging you with righteous judgment. When you begin to know yourself as divine and holy and powerful and love and beautiful and health and prosperity and wealth and all those things that you want, that is God judging you accordingly. Do you understand how devastating that is to the one who is seeking God? The seeker of God is seeking the recognition of himself. I love it, right? So the next quote is from Rumi. It says, why are you so busy with this or that? Good or bad? Pay attention to how things blend. Pay attention to how things blend. Why are you concerned with this or that? Why are you concerned with good or bad? Why are you concerned with this looks right and this looks wrong? Pay attention to how all things blend and all things lead and all things are for your goodness. Let's break this down. So right here, what this is talking about is the obsession that we have, the personality has with division. Right? The mind loves categories because categories create control. And by control, what do we mean? We mean predictability. So if I can look out there and I can see something and I separate it, right, into good, bad, right, wrong, it gives me the illusion of control. I judge this as right. Okay, cool. I like that. It's predictable. I judge that it's wrong. Okay, I don't like that. It's predictable, right? We don't like uncertainty. The mind doesn't like uncertainty. The mind loves categories because categories create control. Good or bad, success or failure, holy or sinful. The church loves that one. Chosen or rejected. The church loves that one as well. Spiritual folks love that shit as well. Chosen or rejected. The chosen ones. Shut your ass up. Right? But reality is rarely that clean. Joy and grief coexist in the same breath. Strength is born from vulnerability. Desire can be both sacred and distorted. Think about this. Desire can be both sacred and distorted depending on the consciousness behind it. Ooh-wee. The consciousness that knows itself as whole and complete and divine versus the consciousness that sees itself as needing something to complete itself sees desire two completely different ways. One views desire as sacred. The other views this desire as this distorted thing. Okay? When you are so busy with this or that, you fragment your own experience. You wage war against parts of yourself that are actually asking to be integrated. You call tension dysfunction when it was refinement. So to pay attention to how things blend, what this is actually telling us in a more poetic way, it's saying mature spiritually grow up. Stop judging things with your spiritual ass, right? It's to see that your light does not exist without shadow giving it contrast. Let's go a little bit further. Discipline without tenderness becomes cruelty. And tenderness without discipline becomes chaos. Do you hear your boy? I'm going to say that one more time. Discipline without tenderness becomes cruelty, and tenderness without discipline becomes chaos. Basically, it's saying, look at how all things blend. Look how everything blends. Look at all of that. Blending is wholeness. It is recognizing that the divine weaves opposites into growth. Instead of asking, is this good or bad for my story? You begin asking, what is this shaping in me? How do I want to see this? How do I choose to be right now? Beautiful. When you stop fighting the paradox, you start embodying depth. And depth is where wisdom lives. The deepest motherfucker you know can take a shit storm of a situation and exhale flowers from that shit. Can walk through the valley of the shadow of death and give you some bars about how beautiful it is in there. Isn't that true? Isn't that true? Okay, you've been dividing yourself into acceptable and unacceptable parts. You've been fragmenting your being in the name of righteousness, but love does not divide itself to be worthy. Love integrates. Love integrates. Here we go. So what's the bottom line in this section? Nothing is wrong with you at the level of being. Your beingness, your existence itself, nothing is wrong with you. You're whole and complete and divine and perfect. And even your SP belongs to you right now. I know that's what you wanted to hear. But your habits, your choices, your reactions, those can still be refined. Yeah, I know some of y'all too spiritual for that one. No, I'm already perfect, whatever I do, right? It doesn't mean that you can't refine. You can't refine yourself or your personality, right? What it means is that part of you has no jurisdiction, it has no vote on your actual worthiness. But what you'll find, we had a conversation about this in the Discord earlier, is that what you find is that when you truly embody things like health, you naturally begin to take healthier steps in life. It just naturally flows as a byproduct of that identity, as a byproduct of that identity. Just like you begin to embody prosperity, all of a sudden your habits change naturally without effort. Just as a byproduct of identity, it's downstream from identity. So oftentimes the manifestation of the embodiment of a new identity is actually you moving differently. We call this inspired action. When you decide you're healthy, you might wake up and not want to go to the gym, and you reflect and relax into the present moment, and all of a sudden you find yourself just naturally getting up and going to the gym. Naturally. Why is that? Because everything follows identity. The more that you criticize yourself, you criticize your weight, and you look in the mirror and you hate it, the harder it becomes to start getting up and being consistent. And then even if you are consistent for 2 or 3 days, now you look in the mirror and you get absolutely discouraged. Fuck, shit ain't fucking working. You know what, I can do this instead. I can go eat this, but what's the point? But the more that you just decide, no, I am health. I am the health of God. My temple, my body is the temple of God. Naturally, you start just taking better steps. We call this inspired action. It's just you following identity. It's a phenomenon that I never really understood. I struggled to put it into words for a while, but I realized once I decided that I was healthy and prosperity, especially, all of a sudden, naturally, I started doing things that were more in alignment with prosperity, just for the love of the game. It was as if those things were part of the manifestation. They all became part of the bridge. I even began to look at life differently from a prosperous perspective, just naturally, when I just decided that I was prosperity. Okay? So, your habits, your choices, your reactions, those can still be refined. And this is where responsibility enters without self-hatred. Without self-hatred. Okay? So, responsibility without self-rejection. Let's talk about it. Okay? So, here's the paradox. Here's the paradox right here. Okay? You're not broken and you are not finished. Because you're always expanding. We always hear that, right? You're this infinite being and you're always, quote unquote, expanding because infinity is always expanding in all directions, yada, 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 right? You're here to expand and enjoy the human experience. How can I do that if I'm already whole and complete? That's the paradox. You are whole and complete, but you're here to experience or have the human experience and experience different things. You're here to enjoy the curriculum of life, new experiences. Does having new experiences, does that contradict that you're already whole? If you think about it from a literalist perspective, of course. But this is the paradox, that you are already whole and complete in everything. But you're still going to move through life and have experiences that change your perspective, that make you want and desire new things. This is the refinement. This is the human experience. Can you embrace your humanity, love your humanity, and also honor and trust your divinity? What a paradox, right? Very beautiful paradox. So the ego hears nothing is wrong with me and thinks it means exemption from growth. But truth says something deeper. It says your essence is whole, but, you're going to hate me when I say this, your alignment can drift. What does that mean, Alex? Your alignment? Not the alignment word. Not the A word. I know y'all hate the A word. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? Your alignment can drift. It means that you can, your recognition of the truth, that can, you're all God, but at what level are you actually aware of it? Okay, let's go a little bit further, right? Romans 12:2 says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Renewing of your mind, right? Notice it doesn't say be replaced. It doesn't say be ashamed. It says renewed. Renewal assumes something already sacred being refreshed, not something defective being discarded. When you lie, it's not because you're quote unquote evil. Typically, it's because you're afraid. When you manipulate, it's not because you are unlovable. Typically, it's because you do not yet trust love to hold you. So these things can be refined. But because they can be refined, because you can do a little bit of work on yourself, does that mean you're not whole and complete and worthy? No. No, this is the paradox. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even when you have that person come into your life, are you just going to sit there and be like, I don't have to do shit. I'm just perfect and whole. You're going to love me exactly how I am in my shitty ways. Or are you going to call yourself into greater and greater versions of yourself so you can actually have the life and the experiences that you want? Enjoy them the way that you want. Think about it. Think about it, 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 all right? So responsibility is simply this. Stop using your wholeness as an excuse for unconsciousness. Nothing is wrong with you, but some of your patterns are a little outdated, and love is too intimate with you to let you remain small. Okay, so now, let's see how sharp we are. Let's see how sharp we are, right? So the violence of self-fixation. Because remember, this is about what? It's about you knowing that you're whole and complete. But like the comment just said, right? You don't put the pure water in the dirty glass. So naturally, even knowing that I'm whole and complete, it's going to lead me to different actions. It might lead me to a different lifestyle, whatever the case may be. But that's not self-fixation. It's not self-fixation. Okay, self-fixation is different. All right, so there is a subtle arrogance in constantly trying to fix yourself. It assumes you are the project and the architect and the judge and the executioner. It keeps everything revolving around your improvement, your wounds, your healing timeline. But what if the obsession with healing is just another way of avoiding surrender? What if? Okay, so John 12:24. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. Okay, it remains alone. Unless it falls to the ground and dies. All right, so what this scripture is talking about surrender. Death, surrender. All right, when we talk about death in the scripture sense, we're not talking about a physical transition. We're talking about a death of self, right? There's a quote, I can't even remember who says it, but it says the spiritual or the mystic is not afraid of death because they have died 1,000 times. I want you to think about what death means in a metaphysical sense. It means dying to an old version of you. A recognition of this truth, right? When I recognize that I'm all that there is, the version of me that believed he was in lack, that version of me had to go. That's a death in itself. When you have a breakup and there's a version of you that saw the rest of your life with that person. And now you don't just mourn that person, but you mourn the version of you that thought that y'all were going to be together forever. Right? So you've had deaths. You've had all of these different deaths. So this revelation is about surrender, right? So here we go. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. Right? So a grain of wheat is complete already. It's complete and whole. The grain of wheat is already complete and whole. But if it clings to its current form, it never multiplies. It remains intact. It remains protected. It remains defined and alone. I'll say that one more time. I'll say that shit one more goddamn time. The grain of wheat is already complete. It's complete. But if it clings to its current form, it never multiplies. It remains intact, protected, defined, and alone. But by SP, Alex. I know. Exactly. That's why I said it. You're SP. Okay? The death that Christ speaks of is the death of isolation, the death of self-preservation as the highest value. It is the willingness to let the identity you've been protecting dissolve so that something more expansive can emerge. As long as you defend the small version of yourself, your image, your pride, your need to be right, you may remain safe, but you will not be fruitful. Safety without surrender produces solitude. In the case of the wheat, or in the case of the grain. All right. But when the grain falls into the earth, when it yields to burial, to darkness and transformation, it becomes more than it was. The shell cracks its expansion. What looks like loss is multiplication. The ego calls this process annihilation. Love calls it initiation. All right. So when we're calling each other forward into these greater depths of truth, right? We're dying to our limitation, to the version of us that thought we were small, to the version of us that thought we weren't enough, okay? And only what is surrendered can truly grow, okay? So when the grain falls, when you fall, it stops analyzing itself. It yields to a larger life, to a larger truth, to a more expansive truth about itself. It becomes something that feeds others. It becomes fruitful. You hear that? He could have stayed by himself and clung on to his own identity. I'm just a grain, but I'm just a sinner, Alex. But I need more information, Alex. I just need more. I don't get it. I need to affirm, right? You could do that. You can cling to that version of yourself, or you can surrender to a greater and more expansive truth that you are everything, that you need nothing, that you lack nothing, that you are everything that you desire to be right now. Right now. Okay? Beautiful, beautiful. You transcend the self not by staring at it harder, but by outgrowing its importance. You stop asking, am I enough yet? And start asking, how can I love more boldly today? Beautiful. All right? So, the romantic responsibility. Beloved, you are not a malfunction. You are not a cosmic mistake trying to earn oxygen. You are breath breathing itself. You are breath breathing itself. Right? So Psalm 139:14, it says, I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Fearfully does not mean afraid. It means fashioned with reverent intensity, crafted with intention so intricate that even the angels would pause. That is you. This is what you are. This is what you are. You are crafted with intention so intricate that even the angels would pause. Wonderfully means set apart in design, layered in mystery, woven with precision no human eye could replicate. You are woven with precision that no human eye could replicate. Your nervous system, your longings, your voice, your imagination, your capacity to love and to ache, none of it is accidental. You're not mass-produced spirit. You are not mass-produced spirit. You are bespoke divinity clothed in flesh. Bow to the architecture of your very divine being. If you were made this way, then every breath you take is evidence of deliberate love. Beautiful. Very profound, right? To whisper this over yourself is a romance with truth. It's to look in the mirror and stop speaking to yourself like a flaw in progress. It's to let your body be sacred, your desires examined but not despised, your ambition refined but not shamed. Fearfully and wonderfully made means you were designed with weight, with gravity, with beauty that cannot be reduced to approval metrics or performance. You're not here to apologize for your existence. You're here to embody it. And when you finally believe you are wonderfully made, you will stop negotiating with smallness and start loving yourself the way heaven already does. You are God, gazing at God. The way you see yourself is the way that God sees you. You don't get much more profound than that. God is all that there is. God is unconditionally giving you what God sees you being. And you are the one judging that being. You are God judging yourself creating. It's beautiful, right? It's beautiful. But oftentimes, we don't talk about masterpieces the way we talk about ourselves. We're so critical of ourselves, right? But here, right, we got to be honest because love demands it. If you truly believed nothing was wrong with you at the level of being, you would stop tolerating behaviors that contradict your own divinity. You wouldn't shrink. You wouldn't betray your own calling. You would not shrink or betray your own calling. Okay? So, let's dismantle the loop, right? You're not your intrusive thoughts. You are not your past mistakes. You are not your trauma. You are not your current bank account. You are not your delayed manifestations. The awareness that notices all of that is untouched. Untouched. But if you keep identifying as the struggler, the fixer, the almost there one, all you're doing is you're perpetuating that story. Right? So Isaiah 43:1, it says, fear not, for I have redeemed you. This is the Lord, the law speaking. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. You have been called by name before you achieved anything. Right? So here's the question. So here are the questions to ponder, right? Are you willing to stop making yourself the central drama? Are you willing to love yourself without constantly dissecting yourself? Are you willing to take responsibility for your actions without turning your identity into a courtroom? Nothing is wrong with you, but something powerful is waiting for you to stop circling yourself, trying to fix yourself long enough to actually embody the truth. You're already everything you desire to be. Okay? I feel like this discussion was a little bit more cryptic than usual, but I enjoyed it. All right. So I got a letter to you, a letter to self, love letter to finish this one off with. All right. A love letter to finish this one off with. Okay. I really like this letter. I think y'all will like it too. All right. So here we go. My beloved self, my beloved, right? My beloved. Come here. Sit with me for a moment without trying to improve, without trying to confess, without trying to become. I've spent years speaking to you like a project, like a construction site that needed constant renovation. I monitored your thoughts, corrected your tone, audited your emotions, as if holiness were something we could engineer through pressure. And all along, you were already breathing as a masterpiece. You are not a mistake that God is tolerating. You are not a flawed draft waiting for divine revision. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, crafted with intention, carved with detail, wired with longing that was never meant to shame you, but to expand you. Forgive me for staring at you like a problem. Forgive me for confusing growth with self-rejection, for thinking discipline required disgust, for believing that if I loved you too gently, you would become lazy or small. The truth is the opposite. The more I condemn you, the more you contract. The more I adore you, the more you rise. You do not need to earn oxygen. You do not need to beg entry into a kingdom that pulses inside your own awareness. The throne was never outside of you. I see now how exhausting it has been for you to stand at the gates of your own heart, asking for permission to exist, but no more. From this moment forward, I refuse to speak to you like an accuser. I will speak to you like a lover who knows your depth. When you stumble, I'll correct the action without crucifying your identity. When you feel desire, I will examine it without shaming your fire. When you outgrow something, I will let the old shell fall away without narrating it as failure. You're not here to shrink into acceptability, but to expand into truth. I promise to stop obsessing over whether you are enough. Enough for love, enough for wealth, enough for God. You're not a cup trying to prove its cleanliness. You are a well that can be cleared and refreshed without questioning its source. If the grain must fall to multiply, then we will fall bravely. If parts of us must dissolve, we will let them crack without calling it death. Because what is breaking was never our worth, it was our limitation. Listen to me. I am proud of you. Right? Not because you've perfected yourself or healed every wound, but because you're still here, still choosing, still loving, still daring to believe that life can be embodied more fully. You are not the villain of your own becoming. You are awareness wrapped in skin. You are spirit with a heartbeat. You are the universe with a name. You are the kingdom expressing itself through breath and bone, and I will no longer treat you as anything less. Stand up now and inhabit your divinity. Walk like someone who knows they were wonderfully made. Speak like someone who understands that nothing is wrong at the level of being. I choose you, not the future improved version, but you right now. With reverence, with fire, with devotion, from me to me, I am that I am, right? No matter what. Beautiful. No matter what. All right, appreciate y'all. That was it. So let's do a couple questions before I get too tired, and then we can get up out of here. What y'all want to talk about? Yeah, let's go to. Beautiful. Beautiful. God bless y'all, bro. Or you bless y'all. You feel me? You bless y'all. All right. Y'all ain't ask questions happy enough or quick enough. I'm about to get up off of here. Maybe I'll start something in the Discord. Perhaps. Maybe not. We'll see. But it's revoking access to me from someone that has hurt me. No. We call that self-love around here. You're not required to put up with anybody or anything, right? Regardless of how much you love them or they love you, or regardless of family or whatever the case may be, right? Why would God tolerate anything less than absolute respect, right? If you are God and you're all that there is and you are love, why would you tolerate anything less? That's the fine line, or that's the confusion a lot of people have when they walk down this path, especially the manifestation path, right? They're like, oh, well, I want this person, so I got to put up with them until they change. No, you don't. You can block their ass. Do whatever. You can leave their ass. Manifesting does not mean tolerating abuse. And it doesn't mean being abusive either, right? Persisting in the case of the manifestor does not mean that I'm showing up at this person's house and blowing up their phone because, I can do whatever because I am love and everything that I do is perfect, so I can just blow up their phone and call them when they fucking ignore me. No, that's not what it means. What it means is that I accept this moment for what it is. No means no. And I move on. And I know that the truth will then confront me later. Well, I am the truth, but the truth in this physical reality will show up when it shows up. But it's the same as if you're on the other side, right? It doesn't mean that you just tolerate whatever because you want this person. In this moment, if this situation does not honor me, does not honor the God within me, then I would not be honoring myself by staying there. So no, you don't have to put up with any kind of manipulative or abusive behavior. Well, where is the line? Where is the line? You draw the line. You draw the line. It's not about what you do. Yes, you can cut whoever off. Not about what you do. You do whatever you have to do to be safe, to be healthy, to protect yourself. But you just know your truth. And you know that things will unfold in a way that brings your truth to you. I'm finna go to bed early. Yeah, then get away. Then get away, Evan. Then get away. Then get away. If you gotta get away, if you feel the need to get away, then get away. You don't need my permission. You only need your own permission. You are all that there is. Stay safe. Okay? All right, y'all. This is fun. This is great. This was a good session. One of my favorites that we've done in a little while. We shall talk soon. Maybe on the Discord. Maybe on live tomorrow. Right? Cool. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.